Africans can coexist, but all the same, we stay together and we will answer questions all the time.
That sounds wonderful. So, first of all, what do the elections in Kenya mean to you?
Anne-Sophie, elections in Africa means a lot to African people, because if you look at the situation where Africans are today, you agree with me that we are facing a breakdown of a system. There's no system in the first place. First of all, we have no progressive constitutions in Africa. We have gender equality trashed into the hills. Women are suffering all over the time, and we have almost each and every sector almost in a state of inertia. So that is the reason why I have decided to stand for the governorship, at least of Siaya County, thereby later on using example from Siaya County to educate the rest of Africa that things can happen in a different way. Thank you.
No, that's very commendable. Now, I'm sure many Kenyans will remember the mayhem that occurred after the 2007 elections. How confident are you that this will not happen again in 2012?
Anne-Sophie, what happened after the 2007 elections was an eyesore on the African continent, not only the Kenya. And we believe that this one can change if Africans stand up for their rights, stand up for good governance, stand up for a governance devoid of corruption, stand up for gender equality, stand up for all kinds of positive progresses that are needed for progress in African governance. And I believe that in the case of Kenya, we had made a very progressive measure in terms of constitutional overhaul, which in my opinion is a revolution. We put aside a bad constitution and then put in place a new one, a very progressive new one, that will make sure that the events that happened in Kenya in 2007 will not take place again. There will not be a repeat of it again in the 2012 elections. How will it not be repeated? Because in the last constitution of Kenya, we had poor separation of powers, whereby the executive was the one appointing the judiciary. And the judiciary involved the Electoral Commission of Kenya, the defunct Electoral Commission of Kenya, because it is no more. So right now, there is a clear separation of powers that the executive cannot corrupt the judiciary to subvert democracy. That is the measures that is in place, and we believe as Kenyans that a repeat of 2007 will never be in 2012.
That's very positive, and I'm sure all Kenyans will agree that it's a fantastic step that the steps that caused the mayhem in 2007 will not be repeated. Now, unfortunately, in the times we're currently living in, most of the world is experiencing recession and poor economic growth. How optimistic are you of the growth of sub-Saharan African countries and their economies?
Thank you very much, Anne-Sophie. I am a Pan-Africanist. I am an African optimist. I believe that Africa will get out from the mess in which it has found itself. The mess that we are in right here today was caused by a bad start. Right after independence, we started by dictatorship. We did not know the meaning of elections. Our elections were there just as a rubber stamp to put the strong man in power. And then thereafter, the strong man used the same laws that were being used by the colonial governments, which were, in most cases, were segregated. But they used them to their advantage, to amass the national wealth of Africa. But that trend is changing now. We have seen Africans changing constitutions, in the case of Kenya, for example. We have seen Africans going to the street to protest about bad governance. We have seen Africans, talking about, we have seen women protesting, for gender equality to be exercised in many parts of Africa. And the biggest progress was Liberia, when they chose a woman to be the president. I hope you know that. So I believe that Africa things are improving. I'm talking about governance when I'm asked about economic progress in Africa, because I believe that governance is interconnected with economic progress. Because in Africa we have a lot of oil. We have petrol in Nigeria, for example. We have gas still in Nigeria, for example. We have a lot of wealth. You can go to Angola, still have petrol, we have gas, and we have oil. In South Africa, we have diamonds, we have gold. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, where people go without food almost every day. A woman walks up in the morning and doesn't know if her children will eat, leave alone herself. Those are the dreams that makes me believe that Africa will change, especially if there is accountability, which Africans are protesting to make sure that they have. That is all that we need, accountability.
No, that's, again, very commendable and a very positive thing. Now, back to your principal issue. What inspired you to choose gender equality and the empowerment of women as your main issue in your campaign for the governorship of Sayaya County?
What inspired me to choose the issue of gender equality, Anne-Sophie, is because I believe that we cannot progress if we put some people aside in terms of gender. We cannot progress if we say that a woman is not the same as a man. Yet we live with women, yet we marry women, yet we give birth to children who are men. So I don't see, as a politician, I don't see how we can do without women. And I believe that women should be given equal opportunities with men. They go to office like men. They go to school like men. They do each and everything that a man can do. And they must have a voice in the society. We cannot have a situation whereby women are put aside and we talk about overpopulation in Africa. A population that is not commensurate with the resources that we have. Who gives birth to children? Women give birth to children. Men do not. Okay, men will give birth to children, but women can regulate the birth rate of a nation. So I think that we have a grave issue to talk about, which is gender equality, and that is the reason why I put it as a first priority. Aside from that, we have diseases that are coming to Africa right now. We have HIV/AIDS, which has claimed Africans in their millions numbers. How can we arrest the situation? We can arrest the situation if we empower women. Because gender is very, very important. How do we, when a woman says, no, I don't want to make love to somebody whom I don't know, then, in this situation, she shall have avoided the possibility of contact. And she can only do that if her voice is empowered.
I suppose, following on from that, if a woman is empowered, she will feel comfortable enough to ask the man to use some sort of protection during that, which again will contribute a huge amount to the lack of spread of sexually transmitted diseases. As I suppose that's true. However, I have to admit that from the other side of you, there's another question that needs to be asked, and that's, are you worried that some of your male voters might feel marginalised by some of your pro-women policies?
The voters of Africa today, the male voters, especially of my country, will not feel marginalized at all, because these issues that I'm talking about are worrying them as well. A situation whereby those who are in power don't talk about women at all. A situation whereby they go to work and then find women demonstrating for gender equality. I mean, gender equality is something that we cannot avoid. You cannot say that during this winter, I'm not going to put on warm clothing. Then you die of cold, or you die from cold. So that is how important it is to let women, to let gender equality flourish in our societies. That's what I believe.
And how do you aim to bridge the gap between the sexes in Siaya County? How do you aim to promote gender equality in Kenya?
What I aim to promote about gender equality, first of all, should I be elected as a Siaya governor, what I will do first is to involve them to embark on civic education on gender equality, so that those men and women who did not have the opportunity to go to school may learn the importance of having equal participation of gender in our day-to-day activities. So that is the one thing that I will do first. Then secondly, I will put strict laws that protect women from violent men. Then I will make sure that the Constitution is followed to the letter, so that those who may practice violence on women will face the law without fear of it.
No, that sounds perfect, actually, and that sounds very empowering for women as well. However, I know that gender equality and empowerment of women is not your only policy. So, can you tell me a bit more about what other issues you think you can cover or you can deal with once you become governor of Siaya County?
Besides the issue of gender equality, if you go to Siaya County, you see a breakdown of the system. Anne-Sophie, there is no infrastructure to talk about in Siaya County. That is to be plain true. There's no infrastructure at all. So my agenda number one, besides the women empowerment and gender equality, is to make sure that we have proper infrastructure. Those are the access roads for the businessmen to use doing their businesses around, because business is what, at the end, powers the county economically. Then secondly, I will deal with the issue of electricity. Electricity is a basic human need that nobody should be having a problem of lighting or a problem of doing his or her personal businesses at home because of lack of electricity. That is a retrogressive society. So the issue of electricity is very, very important in my list of agenda, and it is a priority as well. Those are the things that I will look into as first. Then we have the problem of trade. Once we have the infrastructure in place, we have electricity there, then the next item that I will deal with is trade. I will lead a county that must support self-employment and all forms of activities that create employment. First of all, we are well endowed with natural resources. Lake Victoria is actually within the Siaya County. It borders the Siaya County. Then, apart from Lake Victoria, we have fertile land that we can take and, have some farm produce or even cash crops inside our country. We have an international highway that is connecting Kenya to Uganda, to Rwanda, and Burundi. Those are economic. Those are opportunities that will inspire economic activities in our region. And if they are well used, we can prosper.
And can I ask, how do you propose to pay for these for the improvements in infrastructure, for the generation of self-employment, because you'll have to help people to start up their businesses? Where do you propose that the money comes from to help with these initiatives?
Anne-Sophie, the problem in Kenya as well as other countries in Africa is not the lack of money. We have resources. The problem in Africa is how to use that money.
Okay.
how to use that resource. There is money in Kenya, as long as there is accountability in place, as long as corruption is checked, as long as tribalism is checked, all kinds of favoritism, and as long as gender equality is checked in place, that people of Kenya have the voice to question where the funds are going or how the funds are being used. That is a situation. If we have that in place, then we have funds.
And I think you'll get more respect from your community as well if they can see exactly what the money has been spent on too. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Absolutely right. So that is, and there's something I wanted to comment on, healthcare. The healthcare system in our country, and in the case of Siaya, Siaya is the poorest of the poor in Kenya. In the case of Siaya, healthcare is a breakdown. I was talking to some progressive young men that have formed an association in Nairobi who comes from Siaya, and they told me that the district hospital has got the roof of the district hospital is leaking. So that means that patients are not safe from there. And that's a situation you can only talk about in a system that has been broken down, a system that no longer exists. It's a breakdown of the system. So first of all, the issue of accountability is very important because as I talk about this, we have also the CDF money, that is the Constituency Development Fund. So when this young man told me about the issue of the situation at Siaya District Hospital, I asked myself, then what is the Constituency Development Fund supposed to do? Because each and every constituency in Kenya has got its share. And I think that this must be a priority, where their priorities well placed.
Definitely.
So that's my position, and I think that the issue is accountability. It's not a question of lack of money. After all, we have got our development partners that are really funding Kenyan affairs. We have the Great Britain has been funding free education in Kenya for a long time. They were only annoyed by it because of the issues of accountability and corruption. They were giving in money, and then money was getting their way to some people's pockets. And we have, what is very, very shameful, is that we have the same minister that was there when the money got lost. We still have him. We still have him as the Minister for Education. This is shameful. It's shameful. So those are the things that we wish to check after the 2012 elections. And we hope that we shall have a progressive government. After that, Kenyans will vote very wisely, and I believe in their intelligence. And that things will improve for the Siaya County as well.
No, it does sound as though things need to be a lot more transparent for the constituents, and it's fantastic that you're willing to take charge of that and grab the bull by its horns, so to speak. It's very commendable. Now, on to another topic. I'm sure most people will want to know if religion is important to you and whether you yourself are a religious man.
Yes, Anne-Sophie, I'm a very religious. I come from a very religious background. I was baptized in an Anglican church in Kenya. Then when I came to Spain at the age of 22, I was confirmed in an Anglican church in Madrid, Spain. That's the church of the British Embassy. That was the name of it. So that's where I was confirmed. I'm a staunch Christian and I believe in Christ. And I believe that I will lead, should I be elected the governor of Siaya County, I will lead my people into belief that Christ exists and that everything that we do it.
And can I ask you, you say that you've lived in Europe for 12 years. Are you able to tell the constituents exactly what you've been up to in that 12 years since you've been living in Europe, and what your experience is about living away from Kenya, what they have been like?
Yes, since I came to Europe, Anne-Sophie, I have gathered a lot of experience as a especially in terms of public service. In terms of public service, in terms of good governance. I have also been educated here. For the last 12 years, I have been working after getting my education. So I think that the experiences that I've gathered in this country will be useful should I be elected the governor of Siaya County. Because basically in Spain, what we have in Spain, there is not much in Spain. But how comes the Spaniards live better than the Kenyans? That's a question that anybody would ask, any person of average intelligence would ask. I mean, they depend on tourism, and they have tomatoes here. But they live better than us. So it's a question of accountability. And that is what I would like to take to Kenya. Good governance and accountable of public resources so that they become useful to the members of the public who actually are the owners of those resources.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about the organisation, ACTIGAD? Because I think you're an avid participant of this organisation, and it might be good for you to tell your your future constituents about this.
ACTIGAD is an association that we formed, myself and some 4 other friends who believe in the same ideas that we do. It's an organization that is fighting for the rights of women in Africa and social development on the African continent. That is basically what it is. And it is an organization that I wish to use to spread the agenda, to spread the word from the African women here in Europe. They apply what they aspire to have, the freedoms that they would like to have, as we enjoy them here in Europe. So it is something that is really progressive in terms of human resources and gender equality. So it is an organization that will work on the whole continent of Africa. It's not a question of Siaya or Kenya. It's for Africa.
So it's universal.
It's universal.
That's good. And another question. Some people might see it as a negative point that you've been away from Kenya for so long. Do you think it will have a negative impact on your bid to be governor, the fact that you've not been living in Kenya for the past 12 years?
Not at all, also. Because Kenyans are concerned with ideas that somebody possesses. Kenyans want a change. Kenyans would not care to know where you were yesterday or where you want to be today. What they want to know is what ideas do you have for them? What are you planning to, what change are you going to bring? Are you just like the same leaders that they have been having, or you are coming with new ideas? I think that the fact that I've lived in this place for such a long time is an opportunity, is an advantage to the electorate.
Yes.
Because I have seen things working in a different way. I have seen how public resources can be used to benefit a man on the street. That is what I know, and I know that Kenyans will not discriminate me on the fact that, based on the fact that I've been living outside the country. After all, I've been going to Kenya each year.
That's true.
Yes.
No, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
And do you think you'll need any help during your campaign or for the campaign? Do you think you'll need any help at all?
Yes, Anne-Sophie. We need financial help. We need financial help to make us move our campaign agenda to various parts of Siaya County in this case. And if help can be sufficient to move the campaign agenda, especially based on women empowerment, to the whole country, then the better. I know that I need help because I cannot do this alone as Joseph. I need cooperation. I need cooperation from women, and I need cooperation from progressive men as well. Men who understand what I'm trying to talk about.
So yes, you will need some help.
I will need some help. I will need some help.
Can I ask, can the volunteers or people who wish to help, are they able to contact you through Facebook or Twitter or social media?
Yes.
How do people get in touch with helping your campaign?
Thank you very much for that, Anne-Sophie. Those people who want to collaborate with us in terms of our campaigns against gender inequality and women, to make sure that women are empowered enough. You can collaborate with us. We have got a website, and the web address is www.siayagovernor.com. www.siayagovernor.com. You can give us your contribution, and we shall appreciate. What I can promise you again is that there will be accountability. Even in the contributions that we receive from you, there will be accountability. On the same website, we shall write an information of how monies have been used. So we will appreciate your help, and we are always with you. And we pray for you.
Okay. So one last question. Joseph, is there anything that you would like the viewers of this video to take, any special message that you would like? I wish you good luck.